Hey, what's going on guys, it's Grouch here, back at it again with another video. And today, I wanted to go over 10 interesting character facts or trivia that you may have missed in My Hero Academia. But before we get into that, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Echo of Soul, who is also the sponsor of today's video. Echo of Soul is a fantasy MMORPG where players take control of adventurers called Soul Keepers, who have been tasked by the gods themselves to combat the forces of evil. You start out by choosing one of 7 unique classes, which are Paladin, Warrior, Guardian, Rogue, Sorceress, Warlock, and Archer. Once you've done that, you create your own custom character and your journey in this new world begins. As you play, you can defeat monsters and collect their souls, which allows for player customization. You can also work to complete over 2,000 different quests, which helps you effectively level your character and enhance your equipment to maximize the gameplay experience, all while unlocking a variety of new areas and features. Things like solo and party dungeons, raids, and player versus player activities are all things found in Echo of Soul. I particularly liked how the leveling system was pretty straightforward and didn't seem super overwhelming, which really helped me focus on the game's lore. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in checking out, then be sure to click the first link in the description and give the game a try. By doing so, you'll also be supporting the channel, so a big thanks to anyone who does that. With that being said, let's get on with today's video. In this video, I'm going to be taking 10 characters from My Hero Academia and pointing out some rather interesting facts / pieces of trivia that really surprised me when I first learned about them. As we know, when it comes to characters in anime and manga, some series creators can really put a lot of thought into them, and My Hero Academia is no exception, so I thought it would be a cool idea to try to point some of those out. The entries on this list can range to anything from a character's origin, to early concept art and influences, to simply something personal about the character that stuck out. Do keep in mind that this video is definitely opinionated, but just know that there is no particular order to this list. The characters you're about to see were based on nothing more than the info I found while doing my research, and just because they made it onto this list doesn't mean I like them better than all the rest. It just means that something relating to them stuck out a bit more. Also, for those who have watched me for a while, you may know that I previously made a video similar to this where I focus on the entire series. However, this video does include some new info that I didn't know about back then when I made that one, so it's still worth a watch. But I think I've rambled on long enough, let's just get the countdown started. Number 10, Shoto Todoroki. Arguably the strongest member of Class 1A due to his amazing quirk, which allows him to produce and control both fire and ice from different halves of his body, which essentially negate the negative repercussions his body would suffer if he chose to instead use them individually. Despite knowing this fact, however, he still does so at the start of the series as a result of his resentment toward his father, refusing to use his fire half and relying solely on his ice ability, which he inherited from his mother. However, something interesting I noticed is Todoroki's favorite food, which is cold soba. For those who don't know, soba are thin noodles made from buckwheat flour, which is commonly served in a variety of different dishes in Japan. What's interesting about this, however, is that this particular type of noodle is often eaten either hot or cold. The hot version usually is served in a broth or soup, while the cold version comes just as noodles with a dipping sauce on the side. This is of course a reference to what I just mentioned about Todoroki preferring to use his ice half over his fire. The only reason I even caught this was because during my trip to Japan earlier this year, I actually got to try cold soba for myself, which I later learned had a hotter version as well. I'm willing to bet this detail went over the heads of many, especially those who live in the western parts of the world. Very clever. A bonus fact for Todoroki's character is that he also shares many similarities with Prince Zuko from Avatar the Last Airbender. To list them, both come from dysfunctional families due to having abusive fathers, both have fire abilities, both have a burn-induced scar over their left eye caused by a parent, both start out with a cold and distant attitude, but eventually grow to be more open and become friends with the protagonist. Both hate their respective fathers and adore their respective mothers. Both were separated from their mother at a young age and reunite with them many years later. And finally, both fathers chose their respective wives based on genetics, with the purpose of creating powerful children. While comments from the series creator denies knowledge of Avatar the Last Airbender, the similarities are definitely there. Number 9, All Might. As we all know, All Might stands as the symbol of peace and arguably the most recognizable and influential figure in My Hero Academia. He is a sort of icon I feel has become almost irreplaceable, not just within the series but among us fans as well. However, he was almost never given this important role. In the early concept stages of his character, he played a much lesser role in the story, being just a veteran hero who would encourage the main character to try and become a hero, rather than a reoccurring mentor figure. The one who would have taken this role was supposed to be a hero known as Positive, whose design was later to be recycled into the character Snipe. I don't think I need to explain that had this change never happened, My Hero Academia would probably not be as popular of a series as it is today. Number 8. Yuga Aoyama. Arguably one of the less popular and my personal least favorite character in Class 1A, Yuga Aoyama, hero named Naval Laser, doesn't really have much going for him in the story right now. Let's face it, he's kind of a weirdo, his costume is lame, and his quirk kinda sucks. I have a really hard time trying to imagine that many people would consider putting him anywhere near the top of a My Favorite Heroes list. However, something about this character that I found rather interesting recently is that he can often be seen looking directly at the viewers at random times throughout the series. I actually never noticed this during my original watch through, and I gotta say, looking back at it, it's actually kind of creepy. It's almost as if he knows he's being watched by thousands of fans, and all I can imagine is going through his head while he's doing it is, yes, I can see you too. Number 7. Ochako Uraraka. Something made clear pretty early on in the series is that Uraraka's main driving force behind wanting to become a hero is that it pays very well. While this may sound bad from an outsider's perspective, where it appears as though you're only willing to help someone if it benefits you, we learn that Uraraka's desire for money is not selfish at all, but stems from wanting to help out her family, who has been hinted to have lived poor several times throughout the series. To help exemplify this, Uraraka is actually the only student to own a flip phone, while the rest of her classmates are shown with smartphones. A decision I'm sure we can all agree is a lot more cost effective. It's a small, subtle thing, but definitely something that was given a lot of thought for her character, which I really like. Another interesting fact about Uraraka is that she shares her birthday with Hinata Hyuga from Naruto, which may or may not be hinting to something leading with the main character in the future, but if you want to hear my unpopular opinion, I still ship Bakugo with Uraraka. Don't ask me why, I just got a feeling. Number 6. Ijiro Kirishima and Denki Kaminari. So why would this entry have two characters instead of one, you may ask? Well, it's actually based on something that Kohei Horikoshi, the creator of My Hero Academia, once said, in which he stated that both Kirishima and Kaminari's roles as characters are to tie the class together. Now, personally, neither of these characters really stuck out to me that much, at least with what we've seen of them so far. However, something that they both have in common is their developing relationship with Bakugo. As aside from Deku, these two are the only other members in Class 1A in which Bakugo has seemed to have formed some sort of connection with. Even Deku has acknowledged this bond with Kirishima during Bakugo's rescue operation, and has been seen time and time again since the start of the series. As for Kaminari, he has been shown to also tag along with Bakugo during the Provisional Hero License exam, in which he helped to take down Shiji Shishikura. Obviously, there's still much more that needs to happen, but perhaps it'll be these two along with Deku who finally help Bakugo open up and work with the rest of the class. It's really more of a theory than a fact, but still something worth thinking about. Number 5. Miso Show G. While not super overwhelmingly popular in the series, Miso Show G has developed a reputation of being a sort of mystery in the sense that we really don't know what his face looks like. There have been talks about what could be underneath and even a bit of backstory, but the fact still remains that we have no idea what it looks like. Obviously, it's a mouth, but given the design of both his character and other characters in the series, it could literally look like anything. However, in some of his early concept designs, we do see him without a mask. We see him drawn with a wide mouth and a set of jagged teeth. While not exactly proof, it does give us something. There is also a bit of a teaser in chapter 73 of the manga, where he can be spotted sleeping without his mask on, although it doesn't exactly provide us with the clearest image either. I just hope they don't take as long to reveal it like how they did with Kakashi from Naruto, because that would suck. Another bonus fact about him is that he is the tallest student in his class, measuring at 187 centimeters, but is also ironically the youngest, having been born just 13 days after Tsuyu. I don't know about you, but I thought that was kind of funny. Number 4. 13. 13 is a pro hero who specializes in search and rescue and is a faculty member at UA. His costume appears like that of an astronaut, and his overall character appears to have a space theme. He's even known as the Space Hero, and one of his abilities is an attack known as Black Hole, in which he creates a vortex that turns anything it sucks into dust. Based on his design and name, it's strongly believed that he is a reference to the famous Apollo 13 space mission. This is also supported by the fact that his first ever introduction in the manga took place on chapter 13, page 13. Number 3. Gran Torino. There have been many references to the Star Wars films scattered throughout My Hero Academia, but the character who probably carried the most influence was Gran Torino. According to Kohei Horikoshi himself, Gran Torino emits a very Dagobah feeling, as in he references everyone's favorite little green Jedi Master, Yoda. For starters, Gran Torino was originally the mentor for All Might and later Deku. This mimics how Yoda trained Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan, Luke's initial teacher. Also, during his first introduction to Deku, he hides his true strength and pretends to be a senile old man, just like how Yoda acted towards Luke in The Empire Strikes Back. Number 2. Tamaki Amajiki. Recognized as one of the big three from UA High, Tamaki stands as one of the top students in the entire school in terms of strength, along with Mirio and Nejiri. Out of the three, however, Tamaki definitely stands out as the more timid, as he is extremely shy and introverted, especially around audiences, which is kind of surprising when you're just starting to make a name for yourself as a hero. However, the inspiration to make his character like this actually comes from the series creator himself, who, according to him, based Tamaki after his own experiences of feeling anxious, naming one event in particular where he attended Jump Fest in 2017 and had to face an enormous crowd. In addition to that, Tamaki's experience transferring grade schools was also based off one of Horikoshi's own experiences of moving and attending a new middle school. He even had someone approach him and ask to be friends, similar to how Mirio did with Tamaki. So long story short, Tamaki is basically Horikoshi confirmed. Number 1. Toto Hagakur. Now, what could there possibly be to say about a character whose quirk is just to be invisible all the time? Well, I wanted to tackle a question I saw floating around the internet about whether or not Toru is actually naked when she's in her hero costume. Now, right off the bat, I want to say that no, I don't think she has a costume that's able to turn invisible, because if that were the case, then literally anyone would be able to do it. However, I do think she has some sort of hero costume aside from what we can see. And there are actually a few things that support this idea, so let me go ahead and explain why. First off, when you are accepted into UA, you are actually required to submit a desired costume design for review and approval. Obviously, if you're choosing to be a hero as a profession, you're going to have to deal with some unfavorable situations and working conditions. Even if you don't plan on having a fancy costume with upgrades that'll enhance the ability of your quirk, some loose article of clothing for minimal protection would be better than nothing. If you notice, the only visible pieces of clothing Toru wears are her gloves and boots, which are not only used for protection, but also allow her to be seen by her allies. However, they are still easily removable in the case that she needs to become completely invisible, which is a fighting tactic we've seen her use before. Second is the fact that no one seems to be bothered that she's always naked when she's in her hero outfit. Now, this one could just be brushed off as they can't see anything anyways, so out of sight, out of mind. However, during the cavalry battle in the UA Sports Festival, something subtle yet interesting is shown. During this portion of the exams, Toru is teamed up with Jiro, Koda, and Sato, with Toru being the member getting carried around with the team's headband. In order to maximize the usefulness of her quirk and make it more difficult for her opponents, she actually removes her UA Sports jacket and anything she was probably wearing underneath. Something that makes both Koda and Sato a bit uncomfortable. This never really gets mentioned directly in the series, but it does make a lot of sense when you analyze what's happening. Since no one is allowed to use their hero costumes and are forced to rely solely on what they're able to do on their own, it's obvious that Toru is actually topless. But then again, why would this bother her classmates if it literally never seemed to before? This brings me to my last and final point on why I believe she actually does have a hero outfit. If she is in fact wearing some sort of clothing, it couldn't be something made out of just any material, but would have had to have been made out of her own hair. Now, I know this may sound ridiculous at first, and to be honest, I kinda thought the same, but after looking into it, it actually makes a lot of sense. In real life, there have been people who have been successful in creating different articles of clothing using only human hair. So while not the most practical thing, it definitely can be done. And believe it or not, it actually has happened in the world of My Hero Academia. Mirio of UA's Big 3 has a quirk which allows his body to become intangible, letting him travel through solid objects like walls or even the ground. However, his quirk only affects himself, meaning that whenever he activates it while wearing normal clothing, he will simply slip through them and end up becoming completely nude. To counteract this, a special costume was created using fibers made from his own hair, proving that a costume made out of just a person's hair is possible. I'm willing to bet that the same is true for Toru as well. Even if she is invisible, the fact of the matter is that her hair does have a physical presence, so while it would be more difficult to do, it should be possible to create a costume or at the very least some invisible clothing. I'm sure that in the world where most of the living population possess some sort of quirk, there's bound to be someone out there who could make the process of creating an invisible outfit a lot easier. Now, obviously there is no solid proof of this so far, and given the fact that Toru is essentially a gag character created for readers to get a good laugh, it's extremely unlikely that we'll ever get a confirmation on whether or not she actually fights crime, wearing nothing but a pair of gloves and shoes. But the point I'm trying to make here is that an invisible costume made out of her own hair technically is possible. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and hopefully you did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun researching for this one, especially the last fact, so if you guys did find it amusing, then be sure to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and smash the notification bell to be alerted the next time I upload. This is going to be my last video of the year, so I wanted to wish you guys a late Merry Christmas and an early Happy New Year. 2018 was kind of a slow year for me, but I've made it my New Year's resolution to start uploading more frequently again, so do keep an eye out for that. And finally, if you want to help support the channel while at the same time playing a fun MMO, be sure to check out Echo of Soul, which is again the first link in the description. Thank you once again, I'll see you all in 2019.